Hi, this is Christine Reeve. I'm with Autism Classroom News, and I want to show you how to complete a teaching implementation plan, or a teaching plan for short, to plan instruction in the classroom. So the teaching plan serves as a translation from the IEP and curriculum into how it's going to be implemented in the room. So it begins with 2 pages of just general information, often found from the present level and other parts of the IEP. The more that you know about the student, the better it is because it makes it easier to plan. So it's got the student's name, the teacher or case manager's name, the grade, the year, the amount of time that the student stays in specific instructional times. So this might be a place where you've designated that he gets an hour of one-to-one instruction. It might be a place where you designate how much time he spends in the general ed versus the special ed classroom settings, things like that. When the tip is completed, the communication methods. So in this case, Jones is using an AAC device. He's just beginning to use an iPad system, and he is also using pictures. I've written in some of his reinforcers. I've typed in that he has a seizure disorder, but it's controlled by medication. There were no safety concerns noted in his IEP and no sensory strategies that were noted either in his IEP. He is still in diapers, but he began scheduled training at the end of last school year. So that tells me where we want to pick up with that. He does have behavioral concerns. A plan has not been developed, but an FBA was underway at the end of the year. So what you'll see is when I read down to the notes, I made a note that an FBA was started with data collection and that the teacher needs to contact the behavior specialist for the status of the plan. Then there's a place to indicate what curricula he was using. So he was, and hopefully to attach the protocol. If not, then I would write in any information that I have. He was using the unique learning system. He was using the STAR. So I would want to know from the protocol what areas of the STAR was he using, where was he assessed in the unique. Then what reading curriculum and math curriculum. So you can see we wrote in that the PCI reading was being used. It was environmental print, and he had completed level 1. So that tells me that I can start on level 2 in the new year. He's working on touch math, and he's in addition. And I probably need to go back and ask the teacher what lesson they left off on, so I'm not repeating. For his daily schedule, he still needs prompting. He's using a schedule that's on the wall, so a transition area. He also has a group schedule in the classroom, a full day individual schedule, and he's using picture cards. He is using a basket system for his independent work system. He's still matching just colors on the schedule. His tasks are at the table. His finished basket is at the table. He can do 2 baskets independently with about 6 items in each one, and he can work for about 10 minutes on his own. I've written down that the staff needs training in his augmentative communication system using his iPad, and the note I noted about the FBA. Now, when you're completing this on Word, starting on page 2, there's a running header, and that gives me a place. If I double click on the header, I can now complete, this is Jones student. This was 2014 to 2015. Okay, this header will now repeat on each page. So if the pages get separated, I'm going to be able to find them. The footer is a watermark, so it stays. Okay, there's just a couple things I want to show you to make this just a little bit prettier as we go, and I'm going to demonstrate it with goal 3. For goal 3, I'm going to highlight just the goal and the empty spaces because the objectives make up the goal. So we don't need a separate teaching program for that. So I'm going to go to table design. Oops, sorry, I'm going to go to table layout. And in different programs, this is in PowerPoint on a Mac. Sometimes these look a little bit different, but I'm going to merge those cells, and I'm going to do Control B to bold them. And I can actually make that a little bit smaller, but I'll show you that trick in just a minute. These are 3A, 3B, and 3C, and they're what I'm going to demonstrate it with. I would like them to all be on the bottom, so I'm going to right click after I highlight, align bottom center, and that's going to put them all on the line. By the end of the first quarter, Jones will be able to sort pictures and or objects into basic categories. That's going to be a reading language arts area goal that we're going to work on. It might be a discrete trials or direct instruction or one-to-one or a teacher time, whatever you call that explicit instruction for language-based skills would be what your primary teaching activity would probably be. Now, he's using the STAR and we're using discrete trials with him. And so I'm going to skip ahead here, and that's going to be our instructional method. And I've actually been specific. Level 2, Lesson 7, pre-academics is sorting categories. That's going to make it really easy when I go to pull my data sheets and my teaching materials. That is something that we're going to use frequently in reading and in science. So being able to sort things is something we use in both of those activities. So those are good generalization opportunities for him. For our data collection system, we're going to use the discrete trial data sheet. That comes with the STAR. And I don't really need any notes. I'll know from the program what materials I need. When I come to 3B, he'll be able to use words to describe elements represented in picture form. Again, that's a reading language arts type of skill. So direct instruction, one-to-one, whatever you call it. In this classroom, we have a reading language arts time that is the time with the teacher. And again, this is a discrete trial goal, which also tells me that that has to be, if I'm going to use that, that has to be a smaller teacher-student ratio. I am actually, one of the things that the Unique gives us is science units, and this science unit actually coincides with this skill. So the opportunity to use science as a generalization gives me a second place to practice the skill in the afternoon when we have science, but it also gives me a teaching program to do that. I'm going to use my discrete trial data sheet. So it's going to be trial by trial data as we do it. And I'm just going to make a note that I'm going to use pictures as cues and fade them over time. Okay, my third one is that he will be able to recognize first and or second grade sight words. So again, it's a reading language arts goal, teacher time. It's also something that I'm going to put morning meeting over in our incidental teaching time, and I'm going to add in science. Those are going to be times when he can practice the skill, but we're not necessarily going to track it. This is one I'm actually going to use the Unique Learning System, because every unit comes with a teaching program for word studies and the word wall. So we're going to use the lessons 7 through 10 of all the different ULS units to teach this skill. And that is going to allow us for our data collection to use our monthly checkpoints on the ULS. So we'll also have work product, but we can also use the monthly checkpoints and the GPS on Unique to track the skill. So we don't have to add anything in. And I just need to make a note that we need to have a word wall. Now, I want all this to look more consistent. So I am going to highlight it. I'm going to, first of all, I want it on the bottom. I want these all to be the same font and the same size. So that gives you an idea of how to fill out the teaching implementation plan, as well as how to use Word to make it successfully look the way you'd like. Thank you.